Hi there everyone, welcome back to English Hero, and right now I'm going to continue to discuss to you the rest of the types of sentences according to structure. We're down with complex sentence and compound complex sentence. Now, how can we know that that sentence is a complex sentence? That's what we're going to tackle, okay? For complex sentence, on contrary to the compound sentence, complex sentence now has one dependent clause. One or more dependent clause. Now I have enclosed this phrase or more here because it's not really necessary that you need to have two dependent clauses. So long as that sentence is or has one independent paired it with one dependent clause, that sentence alone can be considered as a complex sentence. Okay? Now let's have an example here. Oh, by the way, what is a dependent clause? Anyone knows? Very good. It's a clause that cannot stand alone. Okay? So it needs another clause to pair it with for that sentence, for that whole sentence rather, to express a complete meaning or thought. Okay? So there you go. We'll have an example here, so let's read all together. 1, 2. John retired when he turned 65. Okay? Now this time, let's identify the subject and the verb. Because in a sentence, usually it has a subject, verb, and the object. Okay? So let's try to identify the subject. What is our subject in this sentence? John, very good. Okay, let me encircle the subject and underline the verb. Where do you think is our verb? Or what do you think is our verb in this sentence? Retired. Very good. Can you find another verb? Turned. Good job. Okay. Can you find another subject? There is. We have he. However, he here refers to the person named John. Okay? So in this sentence, how many independent clauses? Or can you find an independent clause in this sentence? Remember, independent clause, it can stand alone. Okay, so we have John retired. Okay. This sentence alone is an independent clause. Okay, independent clause. So when you say John retired, it does express a complete thought or meaning, right? Now, talking about dependent clause, when we talk about dependent clause, it could be among of the clauses that we can, we can determine. Like we have adjective clause, noun clause. What else? Adverb clause. So those are some examples or some types of dependent or subordinate clause. Okay. So for dependent clause, anything that you can find in this sentence, we have when he turned 65. This is the whole dependent clause. Why? Because of when. When here is an adverb clause. An example of an adverb clause. It answers the question, when? About time. We're talking about the time. Okay, so when? So when did John retire? When he turned 65. Okay, so this clause here is what we call adverb clause or dependent clause or subordinate clause. Don't be confused, okay? Subordinate and independent are alike, the same. Yes. An adverb clause is a type of subordinate clause or dependent clause. That's it. Okay? Now let's move on. I hope I made myself clear with this complex sentence, especially with this example. Okay, so always remember, complex sentence, one independent clause, paired it with one dependent or subordinate clause, and you have to use a conjunction. Okay? Now, let's move on with a compound complex sentence. Now, I don't know, but when I was in my high school, when I encountered compound complex sentence, kind of like, oh no, it's really complicated, more complicated now than complex sentence. But it's not. But when I found out, when I was a college student already, or university student, when I found out that it's not that really complicated, you just have to scrutinize or check the whole, the whole sentence. Okay, especially if you're overwhelmed with a lot of subordinate conjunctions, a lot of conjunctions. Okay, a lot of complements. Okay, so let's have this example here. Before that, let's identify the definition of compound complex. Compound complex is a combination of two or more independent clause, okay, plus one or more dependent clause. Now, as you notice, I have enclosed the phrase or more because it's not really necessary. So long as you have this, because a compound complex is a mixture of, compound sentence and complex sentence. Okay? Remember, compound sentence, you need to have two independent clause. Complex sentence, you need to have one independent, paired it with one dependent clause. That's just it. Okay? Let's have an example here. Okay? As you can see, it's kind of long, and the words are overwhelming. But later on, we will try to discover, okay, how to identify a compound complex sentence. Let's read all together. Everyone, 1, 2. Bill voted against the measure, okay, because he felt that it wasn't strong enough, but he also offered to continue discussions, which we still do next week. Okay, I think there's some missing words here. To continue with the discussions. Okay, one more time. Bill voted against the measure because he felt that it wasn't strong enough, but he also offered to continue with the discussions, which we still do next week. Okay, this time, like what we did with the complex sentence, let's try to identify the verbs and the subject that complement it. Okay? Let's try to identify first the verbs. What are the verbs in this sentence? We have voted. Okay? Again, we will underline the verb, voted. Any other verbs you can find? Felt. Okay. What else? Wasn't. Okay. This is a past form of the linking verb is. Wasn't or was not. What else? Offered. What else? To continue. This is actually an infinitive verb. Yes. To continue with the discussions. Do is another verb. Okay, this time, let us identify the subject or the doer of the action. Bill, okay, is the one being modified, or the one who did the action, voted. Okay, Bill voted. What else? For felt, we have he. Pronoun he felt. What else? How about offered? Wasn't. It. Okay. Pronoun it. What else? For offered, what do you think is our subject here? He. Okay. What else? To continue. It's, okay, the one being modified here. To continue what? To continue with the discussions. This one. So this one is not really a subject. But the one being modified by this phrase to continue is this phrase, with the discussions. Okay? What else? do. And for do, we have we. Okay. Now this time, let us try to identify the two independent clauses. Okay, two independent clauses. Remember, independent clauses, there should be a subject and a predicate, and it expresses a complete thought or meaning. So we have first independent clause, Bill voted against the measure, is one independent clause. Okay, I see. He felt, okay, we have, he felt that it wasn't strong enough. Okay, this one is another one independent clause. Okay, so this one is he felt that it wasn't strong enough, is an independent clause. But if you're going to use a conjunction because he felt that it wasn't strong enough, that's no longer an independent clause. It's already a dependent clause because of the conjunction, subordinating conjunction because. So this is our subordinating conjunction, or a type of conjunction, okay, a compound conjunction. So because he felt that it wasn't strong enough. Another we have, but he also offered to continue with the discussions. Okay. This is one. This is another one independent clause here. So how many independent clauses right now that we have discovered or found? We already have 3. Okay. So this one is checked already. We already have more than 2 independent clauses because it says here 2 or more for independent clause. But like I said, you only have 2. If you can find 2 independent clauses in that sentence can be classified as a compound complex already. Okay? Right. Now this time let's try to find out where is our dependent clause, the one that does not have a complete meaning or thought, the one that cannot stand alone. We have which, okay, which we still do next week. Okay, so there you have it. Another notion that we can say that this sentence or that sentence is a compound complex sentence once that sentence composed of a lot of subordinating conjunctions. So we have because, we also have but, and another dependent clause which is an adjective clause. Okay? Because this is an adjective class because it modifies about discussions. Okay? So there you have it. You will know that that sentence is a compound complex because it composes of a lot of subordinating conjunctions or compound conjunctions, plus there should be 2 or more independent clause and at least 1 dependent clause, or 1 or more dependent clause. Okay? So you can just construct, not really construct, but if you are asked to compose or make a complex sentence, you just have to, how can I say, make your idea connected. Okay? So just like this. Connected using several conjunctions. It may be subordinating conjunctions, compound conjunctions, okay? That's it. I hope you've learned something new from this video lesson. I hope that somehow this enriches your knowledge about sentences according to structure. That ends our lesson about sentences So I hope that you will apply the learnings that you have learned from this video, and please do not forget also to study further and practice, making or constructing sentences according to structure. Okay? Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time in my upcoming videos. I have to say goodbye now and take care.